Let's go ahead and start our session on scholar engagement. The learning targets for today in this session are: educators will be able to answer the following questions. What is scholar engagement? Why is scholar engagement important? What are the differences between compliant and active engagement? How can we create a safe, caring, supportive learning environment? And what strategies can be used to boost engagement? Let's start off with this Do Now activator. If you walked into a classroom, what would students be doing that would make you think they are engaged in the learning? Let's go ahead and do a stand up, hand up, pair up. Go ahead and stand up, move around the room. When I say stop, go ahead and pair up with the person close to you and go ahead and discuss. Go ahead, so stand up, go walk around. All right, stop. Go ahead and high five the person that you're going to partner up with and begin discussing this question. Let's go ahead and talk about the what. What is scholar engagement? And what is the difference between compliant and active engagement? Let's begin by identifying what scholar engagement is. Scholar engagement refers to the degree of attention, curiosity, interest, and passion that scholars show when they are learning or being taught, which extends to the level of motivation they have to learn. When scholars are disengaged in their learning, they often have lower cognitive performances and increased disruptive behavior. They will display academic avoidance, impaired learning behaviors, and emotional problems. Often they will have higher absenteeism and dropout rates will increase. The flip side of disengaged scholars is engaged scholars. Engaged scholars experience improved academic achievement and satisfaction. They are more likely to persist through academic struggles and earn higher scores on standardized testing. They often exhibit better social skills and are less likely to drop out of school and be present. When scholars are demonstrating compliant engagement, they will often follow directions with minimal prompting and complete the task. However, the scholars often lack personal relevance, connection, or interest in the task. They will do the minimum expectations with little to no emotion. Active engagement shows scholars pursuing alternative approaches to personalize the experience. They take risks and explore new ways of approaching tasks. Their body language displays excitement and increased energy to focus on the learning. Scholars will often question both text and people to better understand an issue, topic, or problem. Let's watch this video about levels of engagement.
Select these levels of engagement in less than 5 minutes. If you watch this scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you'll notice that even in the midst of a boring lesson, none of the students are actually misbehaving. They're quiet. Nobody's tossing spitballs or playing those paper football games or checking their cell phones because, well, the cell phones back then were the size of a brick. Remember the Zach Morris phone. But most of the students are essentially following the rules. They aren't engaged. But what are they? Well, some seem to be retreating, a few seem to be playing the game of school, but nobody is actually committed to the learning. Anyone? Well, here's where Schlechter's levels of engagement becomes helpful. It provides a useful framework for thinking about what it means for students to be genuinely engaged in their learning. Schlechte defines it this way. Engagement is active. It requires the students to be attentive as well as in attendance. It requires students to be committed to the task and find some inherent value in what he or she is being asked to do. The engaged student not only does the task assigned, but also does the task with enthusiasm and diligence. In 2002, Philip Schlechte developed a framework for thinking about student engagement based on two core ideas of attention and commitment. At the bottom, you have rebellion, which involves diverted attention and no commitment to the task. This is the student who seems to be acting out and causing disruptions, and as a result, they fail to learn from the task. Next, you have retreatism with no attention and no commitment. Unlike the rebellion, this student in retreat is not actively disrupting the learning, but instead seems to be kind of checked out. This student is often distracted and emotionally withdrawn from the task, and as a result, this student learns little or nothing from the task. At the next level, you have ritual compliance. This involves both low attention and low commitment. Unlike retreatism, a ritually compliant student doesn't completely check out, but instead is doing the bare minimum to avoid confrontation. This student will learn at a low level, and the task will not be retained over time. Next is strategic compliance. Often this looks like engagement because the student might be performing at a high level, but it's not. Here, the student has high attention on the task, but low commitment to what he or she is doing. This is the student who is playing the game of school, focused on things like grades, parental approval, rewards, and class rank. But the learning isn't intrinsically rewarding, and as a result, this student will often learn at a high level, but fails to retain the learning over time or transfer it to a new context. And then finally, you have engagement. This requires both high attention and high commitment. Where a student completely buys in out of a strong sense of intrinsic motivation. And this includes meaning and choice and challenge. This student will continue focusing even when the task gets more complex and challenging. And often they're going to choose to learn even when it is ungraded. This student will learn at a deep level and the transfer will continue to new contexts. And this is why it's important that we as teachers focus on how to make the subject intrinsically engaging. And this happens when we tap into student curiosity and creativity and purpose. And when this happens, students are more likely to grow into passionate learners.
All right, so let's do a turn and talk, answering this question. What are some strategies or techniques that can be used to move scholars from the compliant engagement to active engagement? And share any experiences or examples you've had with promoting active engagement in the classroom. Go ahead, turn and talk. You'll have 3 minutes to discuss this. All right, who would like to share what you and your partner discussed? What are some strategies or techniques that can be used to move your scholars from compliant engagement to active engagement? Excellent. Anybody else want to share? Excellent, excellent ideas. Thank you for sharing. So let's talk about the why. Why is scholar engagement important? Here are ways that we can encourage active engagement in our classrooms. We will talk about each way more in depth as we go through the presentation. So one way is through a supportive environment, starting with a hook, having a collaborative environment, increasing scholar movement, and increasing scholar thinking. So let's first talk about supportive environment. What is a supportive classroom environment? A supportive and equitable environment in all classrooms serves as a platform for all academic, social, and emotional learning. At the core of a supportive classroom is a caring, engaging teacher who establishes authentic, trusting relationships with each student. Let's read the slide to see how a teacher can demonstrate this supportive environment. So you would build a strong classroom community, have some hallway greetings, circulate around the room, laugh with your scholars, and smile often. Here are some other ways that you can create a supportive environment. You can use art and music, model kindness, vulnerability, and patience, follow through on consequences, and sprinkle praise like glitter. An example of one way that you can be supportive is to notice when a scholar is absent. Here's some things you could say. You could say, "We missed you," or "Welcome back. It wasn't the same around here without you. I hope it all is well. Can I help you get caught up with anything?" Here's another example of a way you can be supportive. Discipline in private. You might say, "Please see me after class." You and the student will get some think time on the incident. Other students are not influencing the discipline process, and most students need an audience to act out. This process shows we care about the student. This process also allows other issues to be discussed. It's a good time to listen to some possible things that are underlying issues for the student. Let's go ahead and do a turn and talk again. How does a supportive classroom environment contribute to scholars' academic success? What are some examples of how you can provide a supportive environment to enhance scholars' learning experiences? Go ahead, turn and talk. You'll have 3 minutes to discuss this with your partner. And try to pick a different partner this time. Let's now talk about the how. How can we engage our scholars to enhance their learning experiences? How can we use Kagan strategies to boost engagement? One way we can do this is through a lesson hook. A lesson hook is an introduction or opening into a lesson that grabs the student's attention. A lesson hook is an opportunity to inject energy into a new learning journey and to create an eagerness to find out more. Let's watch this video on what the hook is.
Technique 12, the hook. I'd like to start this video out with my own hook. I'd like to tell you a joke. What is the difference between a fish and a piano? You can't tune a fish. Ha ha ha, you see what I did there? Sometimes the hook will work brilliantly, hook, line, and sinker. Other times, the fish will get away. But the idea is that the hook is a short and engaging introduction to try to get your students excited about the material. If you introduce the material in a way that inspires and excites and can get your students to take the first step willingly, then there's no content which you cannot engender excitement, engagement, and deep learning among your students. The book breaks down into the following rough categories. Obviously, with the understanding that there are thousands of different ideas out there, and it might not fit into one of these categories. Here they are. A story. Tell a quick and engaging story that leads directly to the material. In my 6th grade conversation class, I often begin by telling my students whom I spoke to about this very same topic in the last few days. They're always interested to know how they could use this outside of school. An analogy. Offer an interesting and useful connection to students' everyday lives. I often like to compare things that we'll be doing to video games or TV shows that they're watching. A prop. To me, the best types of props are things from my own home. My students love to see my son's toys, my dog's treats, my wife's cooking, all different types of things from my own home. They love to know about me, their teacher. If you could bring something from home, all the better. Media. This is one of everybody's personal favorites, right? It could be a picture, a piece of music, or even a short video. I personally like to use videos in my English class to demonstrate the types of dialogues that we'll be working with. Some people worry that media can be too much of a distraction in class, which is true. As long as you keep a video short, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't start your class with it. Status. If something is great, describe it as such. Could be great work from a student, could be the reasons that Shakespeare is so highly regarded. It could be a brilliant mathematical formula. It doesn't matter. If you elevate the status of the lesson, the status of the material, your students will likely elevate themselves to that level as well. A challenge. Give students a very difficult task and let them try to accomplish this. In my English class, I love to give my students word plexer puzzles. Those are always a treat. A good hook typically has the following 3 characteristics. It's short. A typical hook ranges from 10 seconds to 3 minutes. If a hook takes too long, now you're just trolling. Keep it short, sweet, and simple. It yields results. Students are like a snowball rolling downhill. All they need is that initial push, and they'll start going. I like to really dwell on what's great about the topic that I'm teaching. I don't focus on what's hard or daunting or difficult, unless that is what is great. This is your hook. If you show them you are excited, they will be excited. I don't use one every lesson, but I love to use it on the first lesson of a new topic. The hook. Give it a try. As always, if you like the video, you can find this one and many others on my Facebook page.
All right. We got some examples there on this video. What other things do you use for a hook? Who would like to share? Maybe something you've done in the past, or maybe just something you've observed being done or you'd like to try. Awesome. Thank you.
Technique 12. Go.
So let's do a turn and talk. How can we assess the impact of a lesson hook on students' engagement and learning outcomes? Go ahead, take 3 minutes to talk with a partner on this question. How can we assess the impact of a lesson hook on students' engagement and learning outcomes? So how will you know that it's actually worked? So now we're going to discuss several ways to build a collaborative environment. We talked about supportive and how to engage, but let's talk about a collaborative environment. For a collaborative environment, you must establish expectations and norms for working together. Design or have scholars design protocols for handling conflict or disagreements so they can resolve issues within their teams. Teach scholars active listening skills. Here are some ways to build a collaborative environment. You could pair or group conversations, do drama and role play, have some talking stems or use accountable talk, have games that you can play, work on shared tasks, small group work, or Kagan structures. Let's start off by talking about accountable talk. This is a great way to get scholars more engaged in your lessons. Let's watch this video to learn more about accountable talk.
Accountable talk is a strategy that teachers can use to really empower kids to have better conversations with each other, with anybody really. And it allows them to practice using phrases and words that are advanced, that will help them communicate better and be respectful with those that they're talking to. And it just really gives them more responsibility about the conversations that they're having with other people. So some of the phrases I've gone over with my students are, I agree with you because, or I really don't know if I agree with you because. Those are just some of the phrases that they can use. And like I said, they're just a good way to help the kids think about what conversations that they're having and how to better communicate with each other. ¿Qué tienen en común los dos libros? Algunas ideas, muchas ideas. Ahora, recuerda, cuando me digas tu idea, tienes que usar una frase. ¿Vale? Dime, Kimberly. He observado que se pone Excelente observa. The students like using them because it makes them feel more responsible about the conversation that they're having. And I think that they feel empowered. I feel like they are noticing that they're using new language and it makes them feel, I think, more grown up.
Here are some accountable talk stems that your scholars can use. If you click on the QR code, you'll get a handout with different accountable talk stems. So if they have a question, it might be, can you tell me more? Can you give me another example so I can understand? If they're thinking about something, this reminds me of blank because I believe this is true because go ahead and read the rest of those accountable talk stems. Let's go ahead and get you up and moving and do a stand-up, hand-up, pair up with this question here. How can teachers differentiate and scaffold the use of accountable talk stems based on students' individual needs and proficiency levels? How can we support students who may require additional guidance or practice in utilizing the stems effectively? Go ahead and stand up, walk around, move around the room. When I say stop, you will high five a partner to begin talking. Go ahead and move around. All right, stop. Go ahead and high five the person you'll partner up with and go ahead and discuss these two questions. You'll have 3 minutes to discuss. Go. All right, go ahead and find your way back to your chair. Thank your partner for discussing this with you. And let me have a volunteer share what you and your partner discussed. Great, please share what y'all discussed. Awesome. Anybody else want to add to that or share something that you may have discussed that was different than what was shared? Great, thank you so much. So Kagan structures are instructional strategies designed to promote cooperation and communication in the classroom, boost students' confidence, and retain their interest in classroom interaction. Here are a few that will work great in your classroom. We have all right, round robin, carousel feedback, fan and pick, find someone who, outside inside circle. Go ahead and take about a minute or two to read through these. And we will dig deeper into a few of these. One that scholars find a lot of fun is called the inside-outside circle. We're going to actually have you practice it. And so let me have this side of the room be the inside circle. Let's form it right here. And so I want you to form a circle. And then I want this side of the room to go ahead and form the outside circle and stand in front of someone in the inside circle as you form the outside circle. So this, as hopefully you read in the previous slide, in concentric circles, students rotate to face new partners and then answer or discuss the teacher's questions. So we're going to do that. And so we're in a circle. I'm going to do an activity called this or that, and you will discuss it with the person that you are facing. All right, so the first one we're going to do is, would you rather monitor standardized tests or grade a set of essays? Go ahead and discuss that with the person in front of you. All right, and of course you can do this with the content that you teach. Now what we're gonna do is I need the inside circle to rotate to the left. Inside circle, rotate one person to the left. All right, now you have a different partner in front of you. Would you rather chaperone a school dance or a sporting event? All right, now inside circle, you will rotate 3 people to the right. Go ahead and do that. Count 3 people to the right. Would you rather use the student bathroom or hold it for another period to get to the faculty bathroom? All right, outside circle. Let's have you rotate 2 people to the right. Now discuss this with your new partner. Would you rather year-round schooling with several weeks off in blocks or traditional schedule with summers off? All right, inside circle, rotate one person to the left. Last one. Would you rather influence hundreds of lives or be stuck behind an office desk all day? I hope we know the answer to this because you do this every day as a teacher, and we want you to keep being amazing teachers. All right, here's another Kagan structure. Let's find someone who. You can use this strategy for many different things. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and go back and sit back at your table and back at your chair. And let's try to do, let's do this one. Let's try and find someone who. All right, so you are going to make a quick sketch of this at your table with box numbers. So get a piece of paper. You're going to make 9 squares and write quickly in the box what these are. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do this. All right, now you're gonna have 3 minutes to walk around the room and ask your colleagues and write their names and box number on a piece of paper, on the piece of paper, which one they actually agree with. So for example, if you would come to me, I would say, I have 2 sisters. You can write Lisa down on number 1. And the first one to complete the chart with different names wins. Go ahead and go. All right. I see several people who finished the finding names for their paper. So great job there. All right, give me 5. Let's have everyone go back to your seats. I hope you enjoyed this one. This is a lot of fun. And this could be an activity that you can do could be a brain break, but it could definitely be something that you tie to the content of what you're doing. So like for math, you could have different computation skills there, or somehow do it with any subject with vocabulary. It would be a lot of fun for them. All right. So let's go ahead and have you share 2 or 3 engagement strategies that we talked about today that you want to incorporate in your classroom this coming year. I'm going to go ahead and put the timer on for 5 minutes, but go ahead and take 2 minutes to go ahead and reflect silently, and then we'll do a turn and talk. So take 2 minutes right now to reflect silently. All right, go ahead and turn and talk and share with your partner what strategies you want to try next year in your, this coming year in your classroom. Thank you so much for engaging with me today on engagement strategies.